Strap yourselves in because we've got a lot to discuss about Vanitas. Hey, Kingdom Hearts fans, my name is Unlike Mike, but if you'd like, you can just call me Mike. Today, we're going to be diving into the character of Vanitas and where I kind of think that he sits for the future of Kingdom Hearts. This is a little bit of theory, as well as a discussion video and a little bit of character analysis, I guess. We're going to be diving into some scenes that I think got misinterpreted, as well as some scenes that I believe that they planted some seeds for the future with this character, and just kind of just whatever I think is going on with this character overall. So what sent me down this rabbit hole was this scene here in Kingdom Hearts 3. There's just a lot more emotion that I didn't realize the first time when playing this game. So I'm gonna play it for you now and pause it where I think that like it's really important to see this certain characteristic of this character. This scene was obvious, right? Like he's telling us that he is an ancient darkness, or that he's just flat out just is darkness. And this smugness from him when he says that line in particular, saying, "How close could I be? I'm your shadow." I think it's because he's literally telling us that obviously like that he's with. I think that he's just like with Sora inside of his heart, or he's still inside of Vanitas, or both of them might potentially have Vanitas inside them. Because from what is it, Birth by Sleep Final Mix, we seen you can fight Vanitas's remnant or whatever they call. I can't remember what they call it, but it's like his lingering will. But I think it's called like something remnant. That could be a sign that he's able to, split himself off and just infect, like leave behind remnants of himself and possibly infect multiple people or multiple different worlds, which is part of what I think is going on. Also, something to note is that this is Vanitas from the past, right? This isn't Vanitas' current time. I think he's smug here because he knows he can sense himself or a remnant of himself within Sora or Ventus here.
But I didn't ask for this.
I'm so curious. Sorry to pause again, but I'm so curious. Like, what was Sora about to say right there? Because like I don't understand the context of. I understand the context of what Ven is saying, but what the hell was Sora about to say? I keep trying to figure that out in my head. Like, figure out what the hell was he about to say?
We should be free to choose. Not just light,
This is
not
what
just
is important.
darkness. We decide what we are.
But, Ventus, I did decide who I am. You see?
He seems super like sad about this outcome for himself, right? This is something that I didn't notice the first time I played the game. I didn't realize that he had like such a strong emotion of like what he is here, which is darkness. And that just got me thinking that there's just way more to this character that we don't understand. Like he might be darkness, but I don't know, maybe he'll end up being like an unsung hero by the end of the series. He just seems really disappointed to be darkness, and that's something that an emotion that I didn't catch the first time I played.
And what you are is darkness?
What I am is darkness.
And he seems even a little mad saying that. I love their stare down is so was so good, and this little smugness as he leaves, like he definitely knows way more than what he's putting on, you know? Yeah, I just thought that was kind of important to discuss and point out because like that it is pretty strange. Like as a darkness, it seems like he really doesn't want to be one at all. Like he seems super disappointed at it, at the result of his life. The scene that he has with Xehanort at the end of Union Cross, or was it Dark Road? I think it was maybe Dark Road. Uh, where it was the same thing. He seems like he doesn't want to be associated to the other ancient darknesses. So could maybe Ven and Sora have had some sort of influence over him, or is it like jealousy that they got to choose their lives the way they wanted it to go, and he's stuck with just all these negative emotions, and maybe it's just really getting to him. Yeah, but this was the scene that kind of started it all for me, and then I just wanted to point that out first. I know it's nothing too juicy, but definitely what made me think that all right, we should look more into Vanitas. So what I started with next was I wanted to take a look at his name and take a look at his appearance to see if we can find any sort of connection to other characters or to potentially what is going on. So to take a look at his name real quick, Vanitas. Namora named him Vanitas according to the Birth by Sleep Ultimania because when Namora was looking up names and came across the Latin word for emptiness, it was Vanitas, which was close to Ven and a close sounding to Ven, and also shared the same kanji as Sora, which is like super fucking sad. Obviously, there's a second translation, which is vanity or like pride, or arrogance, which also kind of ties into Vanitas because he is very arrogant throughout the series. But as far as like the emptiness and it having the same kanji for sky in the way that you write it, it's kind of cool because if you think about it, so you have Sora as sky, Yazora as night sky, and in a way you can think that Vanitas is also an empty sky, which is super poetic and sad. Uh, but as far as the other definition, being vanity, could be a possible link and connection to the Master of Masters, as we see with the box on the top, it says superb or super X or whatever, which is short for superbia in Latin, which would be pride or vanity. So potentially the box could be something to do with Vanitas. Maybe it's a body for Vanitas to actually become his own person because it really does seem like Vanitas wants to be its own person. And maybe that's the Master's goal is to show darkness, I don't know, to show darkness people and have them understand people's feelings or whatever. Totally a potential. And it's just a weird a weird freaking theory that I've had for a long time. Was just when you see like Case of Luke Shoe or Case of Era in the back cover movie, I was always thought like, man, I wonder if that could potentially be a double for like obviously it's case file. This is the case file of Ava, etc. But Case could also double as suitcase. I know that sounds like super goofy, but uh, that's kind of what when I look at the box, maybe it could be case of super was super or whatever. A case of Vanitas is the way that I would think of it. I don't know, especially too because they just randomly put added suitcases into the series, right? I know this is hella wonky and goofy, but just bear with me. Uh, they added suitcases into the game back in Dream Drop Distance. They even created that as those suitcases as merchandise, so you can actually buy those suitcases. And we've known since Kingdom Hearts 2 that clothes do have powers to them, with his Kingdom Hearts 2 outfit with forms, like the X's on Sora's clothes. We have like the black cloaks that protect you from darkness, the white cloak that potentially protects you from light, who knows. So yeah, just like a little minor, I guess, theory to throw out there that the box might potentially hold personal belongings for Vanitas. I don't know, just that's a little throwaway there. And as far as appearance goes, we see that he has the face of Sora. We know why he has the face of Sora. So back when, if you didn't fully understand it, because I think some people still might not understand it. So what happened was in the beginning of Birth by Sleep, we see a scene where Ben is taking a dive into his heart, and we see that it's fractured. Now, a Sora that hasn't been born yet, like it's a newborn heart, is the way that it's described, goes into Ven's heart and decides to fill the gap for him, so that way, like he can just heal, which is a different scene than Ven joining his heart with Sora at the end of Birth by Sleep. So there's actually two different scenes where they interact with each other. That's why he says, "Oh, I get it. You're my second chance" at the end, because they've been together before. Now this whole birthing like newborn heart or whatever that Sora is in the beginning of Birth by Sleep. I don't know how to explain that, but I guess it would make because Nomura has talked about it, I guess, one other time maybe, which I'll leave the quote on the screen for you from the Ultimania. So like I'm leaning more towards okay, it's not just like the concept of a newborn heart, sort of. I think it's newborn in the sense that he's the true dandelion that Luxu puts into the pod in Union Cross, because it would make sense because Sora would end up losing his form and his heart would, move to the future. So maybe that was just a baby Sora that Luxu had put in. I don't know, but that's something totally different. And moving back to Vanitas's appearance, we see that he shares a very similar clothing to Dark Riku and Replica Riku. In extension of that, to me, this could possibly signal two different reasons for this: is either Riku was possessed also by Vanitas sometime in Kingdom Hearts 1, like maybe he's the darkness that swallowed Riku in the beginning of the game when he leaves Destiny Island, or it's potentially another one of the ancient darknesses, which would be pretty cool because then it would mirror Sora having Ven's heart, and then potentially Vanitas healing inside of Riku's heart. And it would also help explain why, when we first fight Riku in Destiny Island, when it's just with the wooden swords, he doesn't have that stance where he holds the sword above his head. It's not until after he becomes Dark Riku that we see that he shares the same stance as Vanitas. So maybe that's just how darkness fights in general. So like I said, it could be a different darkness, totally 100%, or it could be Vanitas as well, which I'll share more in a second. Show two other scenes that I believe are connected to each other from two different games, one from Kingdom Hearts 3 and one from Union Cross, possibly showing that either that is an ancient darkness that was inside of Riku or it was Vanitas. If that stance is Vanitas's personal fighting stance, we potentially see it as well on Sora when he goes into rage mode in Kingdom Hearts 3. It's only for a little bit. You actually see that Sora uses he holds the Keyblade backwards, similar to Ven during rage mode for like a single attack. But this could show us that the rage mode and the anti form is because he has Vanitas or another darkness inside of him still. We can also see, I've talked about this before in another theory video that I definitely recommend checking out after this. It's about the mysterious tower, I believe is from Daybreak Town. And basically it stems from, those Instagram-esque loading screens in Kingdom Hearts 3. I think some of those might hold some secrets behind them, and in particular, we see this one with Riku, where it shows his Keyblade, and the eye is directly in the middle. Riku's looking down at it, and it is explaining that he kind of felt drawn to this place, as if somebody wanted him to be there, which could also be a hint of the of some sort of influence that either the Vanitas inside of him, or just another darkness is kind of manipulating things a little bit for him. And as far as the eyes go, what I also believe that connects him to the Master of Masters is obviously the Void Gear has two eyes on it. Kind of curious why two eyes instead of just the one. I can't wait to see how that gets explained. But that eye it's an obvious tie to the Master of Masters. Even like Vanitas's color scheme is sort of a tie to the color scheme of the box, even though it's like mostly black. Like I even feel like the center where the name is written, almost kind of with the red, almost resembles like sort of like a heart being in the center. So that could be kind of symbolic. Shoot, for all we know, Vanitas could have been an agent for the Master of Masters. Like he is a darkness that is actual friends with the Master of Masters. But speaking of friendship, let's move on to this scene with Riku Replica in Kingdom Hearts 3. So yes, this scene in particular is one that I want to pay attention to. Then we'll have to watch another scene afterwards to hopefully explain what I'm thinking is happening here.
Why are you snooping around?
That would be none of your concern.
Overstep, and darkness will consume you again.
What an interesting thing to say.
Interesting indeed.
Anything I please. As should you.
Oh, I intend to.
Is the most important part.
Who's he? Friend of yours?
Yes, though I could not tell you from when.
All right. So what I think is happening is that this is one of the ancient darknesses that is currently inside of at least this replica Riku. Because if you think about the context of that scene when this replica Riku is talking about overstepping, the darkness will consume you again, uh, would make sense if this was Dark Riku. Remember, they planted the seed in Kingdom Hearts 3 that this was Dark Riku. This was from a time that Riku was under Ansem's control. But we learned later that it's not, and that this was actually replica Riku the whole time. So him having that memory of back when Riku, stabbed Maleficent through the chest and like flowed a bunch of darkness into her. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense for replica Riku to say that because that's not replica Riku's memory, or I guess you can say that maybe he had that memory planted. He has all the memories of Riku, but I don't know. It just doesn't really make sense that replica Riku would say that. It would make sense that if this really was Kingdom Hearts 1 Dark Riku. So yeah, I think that just either it's Vanitas or it's darkness because of this scene. So that friend that she was referring to, as far as like, and when, friend from when, uh I think it's the darkness that she's talking to here. That's what makes the most sense to me. Like, this is darkness refers to her as an old friend too, as you'll see.
You're certainly knowledgeable about all this. This world, the lifeboat, the lack of defenses. Just who are you?
Think of me as an old friend.
Yeah, so I believe that the friend, that old friend that she's talking about, and the from when, is this darkness. I don't know if this is the Vanitas darkness or if this is just another darkness. Uh, but yeah, I think that this guy, this darkness, is the one that's inside of Riku currently, or replica Riku, I should say. But it would still make sense if the same darkness inside of replica Riku went to Riku. Like, it easily could have been explained. All right, so let's think about it this way: darkness invades Destiny Island, takes over Riku, which is why Keyblade goes to, our Kingdom Key goes to Sora. This is the trigger that allowed Ansem Seeker of Darkness to take over Riku as well, or maybe even Ansem Seeker of Darkness was infected also too by this darkness. So Xehanort could have been infected by the same darkness. Who knows? But yeah, there could be a lot of body hopping that's going on. So from this darkness to Xehanort, and then from Xehanort to Seeker of Darkness, Seeker of Darkness to Riku in the beginning of 1. That particular moment in Kingdom Hearts 1, darkness could have separated her heart in order for her to be sent to the past in this moment. Because later in this scene, this darkness explains that he kind of needs her as a waypoint to the future. And so I'll play it again, like the rest of the clip, and go over it in a second. But yeah, he just needs her as a waypoint and refers to her as an old friend here, which wouldn't really make too much sense, but does make sense in the sense that, like, if he remembers her from the future, I don't know if that makes sense because this game is really wonky as it is, but this darkness could have seen the events for the future, which is why he refers to her as himself as an old friend in this situation. But yeah, this is just what I'm thinking is going on as far as the replica Riku in that particular scene. Like I said, the jump could have been uh from darkness to Xehanort, from Xehanort to Ansem Seeker Darkness, from Seeker of Darkness into Riku in Kingdom Hearts 1. Then maybe after the loss that Riku has, slash the loss that Seeker of Darkness had in Kingdom Hearts 1 in Chain of Memories ends up moving to Replica Riku, and then from Replica Riku could have jumped to Sora at some point. Or just like I said earlier, Vanitas is able to keep remnants of himself, so to infect things, so maybe just bits and pieces of himself exist all over. But let me play the rest of this scene now.
And why would this old friend want so badly to see me back in my own time?
I need you to act as a waypoint.
A waypoint?
Didn't I tell you earlier? In order to travel through time, you need a medium to form a body and someone with memories of you. No one from this world has those in the future. But if we send you back, that all changes. Someone from this time could find their way to you.
And into the future?
That's not important. Getting back to your own time is all that matters, right?
I suppose.
Okay, so just analyzing that scene a little bit, I definitely believe that Darkness had made the plan to send Maleficent back themselves, a Darkness from the future, with the knowledge of the past, sent her back. She needs to be a waypoint, but a waypoint for who? That's where it gets kind of confusing, because Darkness chooses not to go with her in the next scene, into the future. Like I mean, I guess it could still be Darkness, like the waypoint for the Darkness. As far as other people, I don't know, waypoint for like Strelitzia, or I just don't know who she's gonna be a waypoint for. She could potentially be a waypoint for Sora that might get stuck in this time period, because who's she gonna know from this time period? Like, who's she gonna have memories of aside from Darkness? I guess from the future, Sora in a way. Maybe she's the key to getting Sora back. The other thing I was thinking, that's probably the more likely outcome, is there's a scene in Union Cross more towards the beginning where we see Mickey, Donald, Goofy, Chippendale. They're all there. They crash the gummy ship into was it I don't know, just the town circle, and they clearly like aren't supposed to be there. So to me, this is maybe potentially something for Kingdom Hearts 4 when I don't know, when they go to visit Hades, maybe Hades is able to separate their bodies from their hearts to send them, back to try to find Sora in some way. They end up stuck in there. Well, they're gonna need a way out. So how do they get out? Maleficent would have memories of all of them, but I wouldn't know why Darkness in particular would want Mickey, like Donald, Goofy, all them back in the current time. I don't know, but I just thought that was an interesting connection. Or as far as like when Maleficent says like she could be a waypoint to somebody in the future, and Darkness saying like it doesn't even matter. Maybe that's like a hint towards they need a way into Quadratum, because we know that Quadratum exists outside of like time, I guess, in a way. So like being a waypoint to the future is not really maybe their goal. Maybe it's their way into Quadratum themselves. And speaking of Quadratum, I want to draw your attention to this scene. I did talk about this last week. I made a small video on it, but I'll mention it again for this. So we see he gets thrown. Whoop! There's if you look inside the door, it's like the snowy area. I feel like that's Arendelle that he gets thrown into. Then we got this cobblestone area, possibly Tangled. It's kind of what I think, which would be interesting because, like, let's say he gets thrown through these two doors. That's the three new princesses of Heart that we know of from Kingdom Hearts 3, which is Elsa, Anna, and Rapunzel. And the third door, it happens so freaking fast. It's very hard to pause this. Okay, maybe I was able to do it. It's freaking Quadratum. Like I don't know what else like this could have possibly B. This definitely isn't. I don't think this is San Francisco. It doesn't really look like it to me. Uh, and I don't think it really looks like the world that never was. But bro, come on now. This this could be potentially insane. So Vanitas might have been able to infect or leave a remnant inside of Quadratum, which maybe plays a part into Sora getting back. I don't know. Could a darkness be the thing that stole Yazora's identity? Maybe the Vanitas was the one who said save Sora. I don't know. But let me play the scene in like real time because it happens so fast. So you were meant to like not really see it because you can see it only happens for like half of a second. And then the camera angle changes so that way you can see completely through it. So this was very intentional, in my opinion. So I'm curious what you guys think about that. That was kind of one of the more interesting finds that I think I made. We see in this scene that Vanitas potentially could have ended up in Quadratum this way, which is kind of funny, and it's a little bit of a shame that they shredded the door right after this, so potentially killing off one of Sora's escapes. Oh, and the other interesting thing is, uh, Monsters Inc. is also a Pixar property, so now both Pixar worlds that we got showed Quadratum in some form. So maybe there's a Pixar type connection going on between Quadratum. Who knows? So to sum it up, before I give you my final theory, we started with analyzing that death scene from Vanitas and really pointing out that it's showing us that he has these emotions and maybe desires that's very different from other darknesses. Uh, Potentially even wanting a heart. Like there's a scene in Union Cross during what's it called, Wreck-It Ralph world, where all the bugs are attracted to the light, and that's ultimately what saves everybody. But that those bugs could reflect darkness. Maybe that's what darkness wants. It has a desire for light. Maybe even like an admiration or a jealousy on wishing that there was more to them, which could be the way to defeat them is allowing them or showing them the light or becoming their own person, like humanizing them, taking a form. Then we looked at the name Vanitas. Like I said, two different meanings to it. Both fit him very well as far as like emptiness. That emptiness could really represent a missing something that he's missing, which is emotions that are not negative, I guess. So missing that light and the pride aspect of that name going back to Super, which is on top of the box, the Superbia, and as well as the Void Gear, having that connection to the Master of Masters and the box, the stance and the clothing linked to other characters, showing that maybe he's body hopping or leaving remnants of himself in multiple different places, or in other words, infection, and the connection that we made between Riku Replica and Maleficent, showing that potentially is a darkness that's talking to her, particularly the darkness that she had met in Union Cross, and maybe this was all of Darkness's plan, or could even be the Master of Masters plan for all I know. Maybe Vanitas could be on payroll, you know what I'm saying? And then finally, we showed this scene here where potentially Vanitas got thrown into Quadratum, which could lead to a whole bunch of other shit that could happen in Kingdom Hearts 4, which would be so interesting too now that I'm thinking about it, because Strelitzia's there. Wonder how she would feel since seeing as Vanitas is the one that that killed her. But the final theory that I wanted to talk about that has to actually deal with Brain and his plan, because darkness wants to infect and Brain wants to become a virus, and we know that darkness in, infects people's hearts and uh the light. So maybe that's just exactly what Brain wants to do himself. Like maybe potentially Brain wants to, in the same way that darkness infects people, he wants to infect the darkness. So placing him inside of potentially Vanitas, which is why maybe Vanitas in particular seems so different than the rest of the darknesses, like is sad about things. chose to be a darkness, whatever he meant by that. It could be in a way just Brain's doing, and it explains why Vanitas would have like dark hair, which is something that I've always said. I wanted an explanation for was why does Shion and Vanitas have dark hair? If Brain was inside of, if Brain infected Vanitas, then that would make sense. It's like so, essentially, Brain was a part of all of them, like the parts that make the Shion's identity, which would be memories of Kyrie, Sora, Roxas, and Ventus. None of them have that dark hair, and then same would go with Vanitas. His connections would be he took the appearance of Sora, being linked to Ven, and either he got his fighting stance from Riku or he gave Riku his fighting stance. But none of them have like dark black hair. Brain does though. So if Brain wanted to infect, maybe that's what gave him the dark hair is the brain that's inside of Vanitas currently right now. I don't know. That's a real weird one that I've just been thinking about recently that popped in my head when I was watching all of these Vanitas scenes back. So definitely tell me what you think think about that potential. I don't know. Maybe that kind of helps us explain why we see two brains in a way, because maybe Brain used his darkness, like took the darkness, like split the darkness from himself, infected Vanitas with it, so that way Vanitas would have, I don't know, like his memories of his like friends in his time and whatever, and that's what's causing all this in very internal emotions from Vanitas at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. Also, hey, I almost forgot to mention too. Sora and Vanitas use two very similar abilities, which is another key on why I think Vanitas is in some way with Sora at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. Uh, so we see Vanitas can ride Keyblades in the Keyblade Graveyard. Like that's like he's the only character that really does it until Sora and in Kingdom Hearts 3 during this moment he reaches out to the light of the past. Vanitas could have been doing the same technique but reaching out darkness of the past. You know what I mean? Just same thing but opposite. So instead of it being the light of the past, it's the darkness of the past. And maybe that is Vanitas that gave Sora that ability or helped him out in that situation or scenario. I know he sees Ephemer. Still think maybe Brain had something to do with it, but I guess Ephemer could be the one that infected Vanitas too in a way. I don't know. I think there's something going on there. I think Vanitas, there's somebody influenced Vanitas to feel the way that he was feeling is all I'm saying. Which I'm telling you is like the plan. I feel like the grand plan is giving darkness a true heart, real emotions that and memories of their own, like being their own being or whatever, so that they like know what it is to feel. So I guess similar to like I guess like Nobody's in a way could have been our preliminaries to the darknesses and their feelings, like what they want. Yeah, but sorry, I made it seem like I was wrapping it up, and then I started yapping a ton. So I'll end it here, and maybe we can continue the discussion in the comment section. I kind of wish I would have did this in a live to have a little bit of back and forth with you guys and see what you guys think. But we can continue this conversation in the comments. So leave a comment if there's anything that you want to talk about as far as like Vanitas goes, or anything that I said. If you want to point out something that I said that was wrong, what you think is going on, just whatever it is, leave your comment and hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. I showed you something new or got you thinking in a different way. I even challenge you to, with after this video, go back and watch all of Vanitas's scenes. Just type that on YouTube, just like all Vanitas scenes, or and then all Riku replica scenes. See if you can see like what I'm seeing as far as what I've been saying throughout this video, and subscribe if you want to keep up with what I'm doing as far as Kingdom Hearts goes, and you just want to see more KH theory videos or potential breakdowns and analysis in the future. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. Peace.